Hey, Josh here. And in the last video of our BildrBot series, we're going to go over the already done for you progressive web app install prompts and setup that exists inside of the new BildrBot template that you just set up. The best place to start with our PWA install process here is our PWA install prompt. If you don't know, PWA stands for Progressive Web App. And what that means is it's an application set up so that on a mobile phone from the browser, you're able to directly install it to your home screen the way that you might bookmark something in a browser, or the way that you download an app from the App Store. It looks and works the exact same way at that same point. It allows you to store things locally, like pre-caching pages. It allows you to actually set up push notifications. And it allows you to allow for some offline activity even if you build out your project even further. And so Bildr just recently released a really simple flow to let you set up your own progressive web apps. And then the cool part is if you use a third-party wrapper, you could even deploy this progressive web app to an app store natively if you really wanted to. So let's talk about the setup, the install prompt, and how we got here. First of all, to set up your progressive web app in a new project, all you have to do is go to Publish, and then you'll see Set up Progressive Web App right here. If we click that, we're going to pull up this screen right here. Now, one thing I can tell you is because we're copying a clone of a template, this initial info is not populating in these menu screens, but the reason that you see these check marks is because they are already done. It's a small bug that we will work through, and maybe by the time that you get here, it won't be an issue. But I did want to still show you, hey, here's where you need to go, and it's okay if you don't see these values. They're actually already there. And the reason that we know they're there is, one, this check mark is telling us that they are there. And two, we can go check, because what actually occurs when we're creating a PWA is we're creating page headers, so things that load in the head file of our site, to tell phones, here's how we need you to act for our application because we are a progressive web app. Without getting too deep into the weeds, Mark just recently released a great series talking about progressive web apps, training on the whole setup that we have. It literally takes 3 minutes to set it up on your project. So it's really easy on any project that you have. Certainly designing for responsive is a key part of it because the experience will be defined by how well your application is built for a mobile phone in addition to a computer. But these are the things that we are actually creating: a web manifest file, a service worker file, an install prompt flow, and a deferred prompt. Basically, these are the files that phones require you to have to operate correctly. The web manifest file is giving the phone the guidelines on here's the splash screen and here's the icon and the name of the application on the phone. The service worker is the actual mini listener that happens on their phone so that it can actually operate locally on the phone. And then we have our install prompt flow. And the install prompt flow is unique so that you could trigger a prompt when your user is on a device that is specifically supporting your progressive web app. We will alert them for you so that they can be triggered to install your progressive web app to their phone. And we even built a couple different templates that you can use as install prompts for your users and for your application. So we've got this install prompt here that pops up right in the middle of the page. If you go under our pages, in the insert page template, we actually have 3 in total. We've got a little banner instead of a full screen pop-up. So if you just wanted something to pop up at the bottom of your page, you have that. And then we also have a fully dedicated install page that you could direct someone to so that they can go to that URL and sign up and download your app to their phone. The same way that you might send them a link to an App Store URL. You've got an install page pre-built for you right here. And the best part about these pages is not only do you have a few options for them already pre-designed for you, these pages aren't just aesthetic pages right here. They're actually the logic that you need to run and check what specific browser that your user is on, as well as what specific phone, to give the appropriate prompt for that particular phone. For example, on an iPhone device, you have to do this from Safari. And you actually have to click a few buttons to add it to your phone. On an Android, you can provide a JavaScript button that just says click to download, and it'll just download it and add it to their phone. And so there's all sorts of logic and different things involved in checking to make sure you're on the right type of a device and it's going to do the right thing. And we do all of that check for you so you don't have to worry about it. The way that we trigger this is whenever you go up and set up your progressive web app, again, we're not seeing it right now because this was cloned from a template. In the future, you should see this. There's just some things we have to update. But you can select an install prompt flow where you target on a specific page, run a specific flow. When we go over to our home page, the flow that is actually set up to trigger is our check for open prompt for PWA install. And the way I set this up, instead of always prompting as soon as they load the page, I want to actually only trigger this once every 30 days at most. And so the flow that's actually triggered is get cookie prompted last 30. So I grab the cookie value that would be on their browser, and then I set it into a variable called prompted last 30 with a wait. So I know this is done first. I then check the value of that prompted last 30. If it's equal to yes, I do nothing, meaning they've been prompted in the last 30 days. If it's not, that means they haven't, and I want to open the prompt for a PWA install. And at that point, I do two things. First, I'm opening our PWA install prompt page into a component that I have designated for this on the page. So this component, as of this moment, is empty. There's nothing in it. It's just an empty component. It takes up no space on the page. But when I open this page into it, this page is set to cover the entire screen and overlay everything else on the page. In fact, if we go to the styling and we look at the PWA install prompt cover class, we're going to see width and height is 100 view height, 100 view width. We're going to cover the whole page. And then we're going to have a z-index of 999,999, basically guaranteeing it that it's going to be on top of everything else on the page. So we run that flow to open that page into the container on top of our page so that it takes over the screen. And then we also set the cookie prompted last 30 to a value of yes, and we give it an expiration of 30 days. So automatically we'll know in the next 30 days it'll never get triggered, and then this will roll off in 30 days, allowing us to re-trigger that if we chose to. And you could customize and change this however you want, so you could prompt them more frequently, more infrequently, or do whatever you wanted to do. And so that's how you're going to already have a progressive web app set for your BildrBot out of the box.